Hello everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are streaming and creating from today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Flynn and I am sitting in real life next to Jeremy Lord. What's up?
Not much. This is an event.
This is
really
weird.
weird. It's like I don't know where to look anymore. It's like I'm used to looking at a webcam and you at the same time. Now I have to like turn my head. It's like
I'm usually
What am I
pressing all
doing?
the buttons, but we've got our boy Chad over here taking care of everything, so I guess I'm just going to talk a lot today. Yes, this is the first time we have been in the studio since 2020. So this is super exciting. We've got a really great show ready today. We've got Kitiya Palaskas coming in, we've got Bianca Beers coming in, we've got Dale waiting in the wings for his turn, and Sophie Elinor is here as well. And of course, we're here with Jeremy Lord. We're just going to hang out and do some drawing, have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case you don't know, who Jeremy Lord is. Jeremy, do you want to tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I am an illustrator. I'm a freelance illustrator. Work in a range of different kind of styles, predominantly kind of like manga, anime inspired, a bit of like 80s neon cyberpunk things going on. Yeah, that's generally kind of what I would do.
Yeah.
And today we're going to kind of do something a little bit different to what we would normally do on a stream, which is kind of like lots of color, lots of detail, lots of time. And in the spirit of Sketchtember, we're going to look at something that I kind of discovered in the last like maybe 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying working with something that's fascinating to me is a concept called shape carving.
Okay.
Or like silhouette drawing. It's a kind of a concept art thing. It sounds a bit weird, but you'll see what I mean when we kind of start on this. Just something loose, sketchy.
Yeah.
Not anything kind of finished, but just something to get the kind of something on the page as fast as possible.
That's awesome. We've done so many streams together and I never heard about this, so I'm excited. That's something new. You're also using the iPad.
I am, yeah.
Which is quite a change as well.
So I would sometimes kind of, if I'm on the go, I would use an iPad to do some sketches and then like fling them over to Photoshop and like do the work like quote unquote properly.
Right.
But yeah, iPad's really good for sketching. I brought this in today mostly because it's just a lot more portable. You can use just one plug and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, really handy for like sketching really quickly and just like digital sketchbook. So it makes sense.
All right,
Yeah.
let's show everybody what I can see because this is cool. I feel like this is a departure as well. Haven't seen you do much like Marvel, like superhero stuff either. It's all new today. This is like crazy.
It is a little bit. It's so again, like this is something that I discovered in the last sort of like 3 months of kind of discovering this idea of shape carving. Like I've always known about this idea of like drawing small to get like a really rough thing with just one color. But this idea of like using just black and then one highlight to showcase different ideas and working on basically on like a silhouette, which is really important. So I've got some Spider-Man content here, and this is like the Venom suit Spider-Man.
Yeah, sick.
Mostly because I'm working just with black, so it just makes sense to work with that. If I was putting in, like blue and red in here, all of a sudden this whole concept kind of goes out the window a little bit.
Right.
So important to just keep it kind of simple. This is not like, hey, this is finished work. This is really just like concepting, getting poses down, not worrying too much about things. If you look at like the hands here kind of resting, like it's really just a super rough indication of, just to make sure we're getting kind of poses right. And something that is like super fun to do because you can work really, really loosely and get some kind of basic details in. So really just kind of working in, let's say kind of like we got a head, we got a torso here, and just working very, very roughly, get some arms in there on that kind of silhouette. And silhouette is super important when kind of doing character design, right? Because I remember seeing this interview with Spielberg and George Lucas talking about Indiana Jones, and like literally them saying like the whole reason Indiana Jones has a hat is because it makes his silhouette just kind of stand out. Like,
oh, right, yeah.
That's the thing. And the first shot you see of him is from the back in the silhouette.
Yeah.
And he's just standing there.
So his silhouette is like this iconic shape.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's a shape that's instantly recognizable. Like video games do this all the time, like especially if you're trying to like, make a character that you can see instantly in an ocean of other characters on screen, the shape overall of that character and the colors obviously that they use, but the silhouette is the first thing that you look for.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so like, yeah, Spider-Man is kind of fun to do this with because he does like, you can have a little bit more kind of looseness and fun with that character and kind of do some exaggeration. So like, you know, kind of stringy little kind of arms, but then on the legs, we go a little bit bigger and we can kind of do some crazy things. And then what's I think is really fascinating with this is where we get the idea of like shape carving from. So I've done some basic shapes and obviously like this is all kind of wrong. Still need like a lot of like figuring out to do. But then I can come in with an eraser and carve out different shapes back into this to get that sense of kind of what I'm looking at.
So you can kind of go like pretty crazy and then cut back.
Exactly, yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing, and then like seeing, you know, like that's not kind of working as much as I want, and like that foot, like that looks kind of wrong. Like if that's his foot, he's in trouble. But it doesn't really matter because I'm not really kind of going nuts on the detail here. Yeah. I'm just trying to get a quick kind of sense of like, how does this pose work, right? How is he jumping like this? Is this weird? Is he jumping kind of funny there? Do I need to maybe, you know, bring that leg out to here and kind of put his foot there? Does this arm need to go somewhere else? And then that can go in here. So like maybe he's just kind of swinging on one of his webs like this, right? And again, like very, very easily, very quickly get some sense of a pose to get these kind of extremes, like this really kind of strong arch of the back here, like you get the sense that he's swinging.
Spider-Man's such a good subject for this because it's so exaggerated.
And a lot of the poses references that you'll see online for this kind of stuff do kind of exaggerate the proportions quite a bit to get that. Sorry, I'm just going to erase this guy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys something real quick in terms of like using something that I've already done. So I'm going to use this guy. I'm going to use this pose of like, you know, like sitting on top of like a tower or whatever. Yeah. And I'm just going to duplicate this. So I'm just going to make a quick rough selection around this. And I'm going to go and duplicate that selection. Bang. Flip it 180. Nice. And we're going to do the classic like Spider-Man like hanging off of a string kind of thing. Nice. And you can see kind of what's going to happen here is going to be pretty interesting to look at. How do we do things? How do we show like something like this, for instance, if I don't have these highlights in here, the grays, the head doesn't really make sense, right? Like you can't see it. Same thing here. Like if I just paint this, let me just get that on there real quick. If I get rid of this,
it's gonna head.
Then all of a sudden it's kind of weird.
It's super weird.
And so having that Spidey suit design to begin with is kind of cool because all of a sudden the eyes can come in and instantly give you an indication of where the head is and where it's kind of going. Yeah. And then coming in with just that one extra color highlight on the top of the head. Yeah. And instantly the head is there. And like your eye kind of makes the rest up. Right. Like figures out the rest. Yeah. Same thing with this arm, right? Like if that arm didn't have that highlight, that's kind of funny. Like it's a little bit weird. Even kind of actually without it, it's still kind of your eye like works it out. It's like, I can see that's where the arm goes.
Because your mind, you know the arm's going there. You know it's an arm.
Absolutely.
You get the idea, yeah.
So it's this idea of like an implied shape. But so what I'm going to do with this one is we're going to edit this a little bit and make it so that we kind of get that feeling of like it's Spider-Man
not the hands
from his thread. Well, we kind of have to because like now the hand is going to be a little bit weird. We're going to get rid of this head as well. We're going to paint over that. And now his head is like, this one has got his kind of weight. His head's kind of hanging down. He's a bit like hunched over. Yeah. But this one, his kind of shoulders are going to be leading into his head and his head's going to be kind of hanging down. Maybe he's kind of looking down a little bit. So again, like, you know, not spending a whole heap of time trying to figure out like the anatomy here, where the traps are, where like head's going to go, but very quickly getting a sense of where the eyes are going to kind of go. Yeah. Because it's going to let me instantly kind of get a recognizable shape that I can work with, and then I can carve some areas back out. Come in with that gray and do, whoops, not on the eraser, and do a highlight on the chin. And bang, we've got a pretty quick and easy way. Do the hand. Let's do the legs maybe a little bit differently as well. So I'm going to get rid of that. Erase that and that one too. And we're going to do it a little bit kind of differently.
Nice. And by the way, we are live, so if you're watching, you have any questions for Jeremy as we're going along, maybe about getting out of your comfort zone, posing, drawing, sketching, whatever it is, you can throw your question in at Behance, and we'll also keep an eye on YouTube as well. So do it. Let me know.
So yeah, so we've got, that's instantly kind of feeling a bit better. We've got that web kind of with an extra little bit of web material hanging off of it.
Yeah, it helps, doesn't it? The extra little kind of squiggly.
And then we're going to do, his feet are going to kind of attach up here. That's that kind of classic Spider-Man kind of clenching with his feet as well as his hands.
Yeah.
And then the legs going to come out 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Again, like super quick, right? Like really rough. Doing this very kind of roughly, but it's going to help instantly kind of get that shape going.
So it's just, I mean, I know it's black and white, but you could probably just do it with if you wanted one color or something, or even maybe 2 color if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It'd take longer. There's not really
well,
a reason
so I am
for it.
I am actually using 3 colors here.
Oh.
So I've got white, black, and gray. The white is just there because it's like the design of the suit, and so the spider design on the front of the suit is handy to kind of show which way his torso is angling, like, you know, on all of these, like, how is that kind of shape going? It's a nice kind of line to show. And then obviously the eyes, really, really crucial to show kind of the angle of the head and what he's kind of looking at and how he's kind of behaving. And then the gray there is just an extra kind of give it a little bit more definition, show some pecs, show some kind of ideas like that. And yeah, light source, but predominantly this idea of kind of, a little bit more definition.
Yeah.
And so there we go. Like that's just kind of him. Again, like, you know, heaps wrong. His like neck traps are just.
He looks like a wrestler a little bit.
A little bit, a rugby player. Should be a little bit more kind of lithe than that. But yeah, that's just kind of a rough idea. So if we go from kind of scratch, you'll see. Let's do like a Venom one, for instance. Like Venom again, like same thing. Really interesting shape to work from. Really interesting character as well. Can do it in black and white. Going to be super easy. So let's go a little bit nuts. So
as we do that, as we're jumping in, so shout out to Alessandra. Yes, we are live in the studio. How cool is that? And we have a question as well. How are you finding fresco and drawing on the iPad? Is it much different to you from Photoshop?
It's a bit of a different thing. Like I think fresco is a bit more of like a drawing thing, whereas Photoshop I'm kind of used to being, you know, a little bit more kind of all-encompassing app.
Yeah.
So I quite enjoy it. I like kind of working on the iPad. Fresco's kind of got some nice features that Photoshop doesn't have for drawing, like things like drawing a straight line. If you just draw a line and hold it down, it'll snap to a straight line, which is super fun
that's cool
to do. Which Photoshop doesn't do. So there's things like that. I think Photoshop is, like I said, is more encompassing photographers, designers, everything. Yeah. Fresco is really just like it's for illustrators, it's for drawing. Yeah. And you can definitely feel that when you're kind of working with it. So let's get a slightly bigger brush here, and we're going to work in a little bit less detail. And get something really kind of extreme, crazy happening. We're going to do like a really big, massive, bulky Venom. So in order to do that, we're going to need a sense of like torso. So this looks like nothing at the moment, right? Like the one drawback of this, I think, is it probably requires a good sense of like picturing the anatomy before it's actually on the page.
Right.
And being able to understand like how that's going to connect. Like that's a torso. And obviously, like if I come in with like this, like his head, because Venom is just like so big, the head is gonna live like down and he's kind of hunched down. So I could even stick the head like here, and it would still make sense, right? And again, it probably doesn't make a heap of sense right now, but watch what happens as soon as I start putting in like a big shoulder, and like maybe a big bicep and a giant forearm.
Right.
Then all of a sudden you kind of start to see like, oh, right, okay, he's kind of like
hulking
this.
down above you,
Yeah.
and you're low, right? Like it's showing.
And he's like
you
kind of leaning over, showing you the top of his shoulders a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like this does require that kind of sense of like knowledge of what you're doing a little bit in terms of anatomy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it really is quite freeing to just be able to do things without having to worry too much about them. So we've got one fist, not really getting that vibe. So I'm going to come in here, select that, and edit it. I'm going to rotate this a little bit more, just so that we got a little bit more kind of like action happening, right? Then come back over to here with my thing. We've got one closed kind of fist hand with a hint of a thumb. Maybe we can give him a little bit of spike on it, just like make those forearms even bigger. That shoulder needs to be bigger, that one too. Then we got some kind of back muscles happening.
A couple of bumps in the back.
Yeah, a couple. And then this hand maybe is going to be like open with those kind of super sharp fingers. Again, like super fun to do these characters because you can kind of improvise a little bit more and do some kind of crazy shape things. And then get some legs in there as well. That's going to be important. So we'll make the legs a little bit smaller, but really kind of like ripped. That's the thing with Venom, just like absolutely like unit of a character. Yeah. But just it's all in the shoulders, right? So in order to make the shoulders look big, we're going to make the legs a little bit smaller. Yeah. And then that foot comes down, heel, and then just toe kind of hitting the floor. And then that leg goes into here. We've got a knee and then a calf.
It's cool. I like it a lot. So, it's quite interesting, like seeing different, like if you read a lot of comics like I do, and I read a lot of Marvel, and like different artists' take on characters. Like you can sometimes like compare them and you're like, this person's so extreme. Like literally got muscles, have muscles, and it's like all shiny, and then like someone else, you're like, how is that the same person? It's like,
I think that's the cool thing with...
I love it. It took a while to get used to though.
Yeah.
I love it now.
And I think Venom lends itself really well to that, right? It's like Venom just like, you just make up muscles that don't exist. And it's like, well, they kind of do, but they kind of don't. So now we get into where the eyes are going to go and where the head's going to be. So we're going to draw those kind of scratchy Venom eyes. Yeah. A little bit closer together maybe. The smaller the head, the bigger the torso is going to feel, right? And then we get some of those teeth in. So again, you can see I'm not really kind of too fussed about kind of where that's looking, but immediately that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and especially like when you zoomed out instantly, right? And as you said, like my brain's kind of like filling in the gaps.
Totally. And we could come in here, I'm going to lock to transparency on this layer because what that's going to do is going to allow me to paint some gray. I'm going to select this like dark gray. And what that does is it means that I paint like only on the pixels that I've already created. Anything that doesn't have paint on it won't come up. And this is where like that shape carving comes into play, right? So that silhouette makes a little bit of sense. But as soon as I put in like a shine on the top of the head, that head now comes in a little bit more kind of clearly. Some big kind of, neck muscles coming in, that kind of spine, some more over here, get a hint of a biceps getting crunched in. And again, this is where like I said, this does require a pretty solid base of anatomy, like the strings of the shoulder muscles coming in. Coming down here, we maybe have a little bit of light so we can do some pecs, maybe some kind of lats in there, knee, calf, like all that. There's not much I need to do to the feet. Feet generally don't require very much because that's where the shading comes in. The light's blocking that out, so I don't need much down there. But again, you can start to see how that's like coming in to light a little bit.
Yeah.
Get some like muscles in there.
Do you always do the light source like from the same spot? Like, is it always kind of over to the left, to the right?
Mostly, yeah. Mostly because it just allows a little bit more kind of play.
Yeah.
And it makes life a little bit easier than just kind of straight up or down lighting is a little bit harder to kind of work with.
Yeah.
Oops. So again, I'm going really fast here, and I probably should like take a little bit more time to get some kind of shape carving in there. But stuff like this, right? So like this hand, what fingers are in front, what fingers are behind, not super clear. As soon as I start doing this, now, right, this finger is like sticking out. And then that kind of thumb is over there. And then we can see like maybe if I just do a hint of a shadow on that one, we can see that that is actually kind of like one of the fingers behind the hand, and it's kind of showing over there. So yeah, it's just like I'm having a lot of fun kind of working with this method and seeing kind of what you can do, what you can't do, and being quite surprised at the amount of information you can relay just from doing this kind of thing.
That's super cool. Hey, just got a quick question. Any tips for using this technique on your own characters who might not be as recognizable as big names like Venom and Spider-Man? Yeah,
so again, like what we're looking at here is like we're using, you know, some very recognizable characters, but these poses could theoretically apply to a range of different things. Like it doesn't have to be this kind of super extreme superhero pose. Like if you're drawing somebody playing like volleyball, for instance, or whatever, or let's say maybe like, I don't know, let's say, skateboarding, whatever, let's say skateboarding. And you've got, you know, like a quick sense of like a torso, some arms coming out, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe they're, I've chosen a bad example here.
Volleyball, or beach volleyball or something.
Yeah, okay, so we got like the arch of a back, and then we've got a hand sticking out, head back here, arm getting ready to kind of spike, and then leg, bang, and then second leg kind of jumping down. Like this like super, super rough version of what we just did, but it's that same kind of idea of like, all right, now I can come in and carve some of these shapes back out to get the kind of look that I'm going for and get the information relayed that I'm trying to relay without spending a heap of time on something.
Yeah.
It's a giant volleyball. But yeah. So like this applies very easily to those like super detailed, very identifiable, recognizable characters.
Yeah.
But that technique of shape carving applies to anything. And so so now we can kind of start to do like it's Venom, so we've got like the goop, the symbiote kind of like leaking off of him.
Yeah.
And doing kind of fun stuff there. Seeing how we can kind of work with that. If we wanted to, we could go nuts and add some like vein details happening.
Right, yeah.
And that's again where the gray is going to come in handy. So I've done the black, but then on the black I need the gray to show where that vein is going to go. So that's a nice kind of like dual language that I've got. I've got those two colors happening.
That's cool, dude. We're going really fast today, so we're just spending 25 minutes with each person, and believe it or not, we are actually out of time.
All right.
So, Jeremy Lord, everybody, that was awesome. Shape carving, using an iPad, using Fresco, live here in the studio. That's all. Oh, you got the tongue. That's
Gotta get
awesome.
the tongue.
That's the way to do it. All right, well, thank you very much. Hey, stick around. Don't go anywhere. You don't have to go to a new stream or anything like that. We're going to be back in the studio with Dale in just a couple of minutes, so we'll see you soon. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me.
All right,
it's been awesome.
everybody. Welcome back to Adobe Live. I'm here now with Dale Bigeni. Hey, I didn't even say before, we're doing Sketchtember. That's like a fun name that we came up with. Like, what are we going to call this thing? ChatGPT helped me out with that one. It's working out really well. I'm very excited to see you in person, Dale.
Yeah, no, it's been a while actually. I was just saying outside, the city's grown a lot since I last been here.
I know, right?
I'm from Sydney, but it's that building outside is massive now. It's been 3 years-ish.
Yeah, the IMAX that they're building out there.
Oh, the one across the road.
The other one.
Yeah, there's plenty of them.
It all changes, yes. It's been a long time since we've been in the studio. Excited to be here. We're hanging out. Here we are in Sydney, having a great time. By the way, shout out to Johanna for looking after us. We've got Bianca Beers coming up next, but hey, we're only here for like 20 minutes with Dale.
Yeah.
So let's get stuck in. You brought your Wacom along.
Yeah.
And you're going to do some sketching for us.
Yeah, sweet. So just quickly, I'm just gonna steer away from what I'm usually working on, which is skulls and all that sort of jazz.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
today we're gonna do something a little bit more fun. We're gonna just talk about some mascot creations and things of that nature.
Yeah.
This is a little design I've been working on, so obviously with the short time, we'll just bring in something,
Perfect.
a bit like a cooking show. Here's one I prepared
That's
earlier,
it.
but we're just going to talk about like a process and just things like that. So I'm just going to chuck my glove on real quick while I talk.
No worries. And I'm going to move this just a little bit over, I think. There we go.
Okay, I just gonna put
We've got the over-the-shoulder cam coming, so we can actually see everything happening on the Wacom.
Yeah, here we go.
Bit of fun.
Sorry.
Got your Jackson glove on.
Yeah, my Jackson glove. Can you see that one?
Beautiful. Do you ever
Yeah.
forget that you're wearing that and go down to the shops and get a coffee?
I
and
have
like,
done.
wow, this guy is.
I've done it before. I think maybe people think it's a style thing because of all the tattoos as well.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not. It's just to help with the drawing, everybody. So I come up with these little mascots based on kind of like traditional, or should I say vintage, retro kind of styles.
Yeah.
I like the animated look. I like the funness that it brings to like a brand. So this is for a coffee shop out west. They just asked for something fun to be like, a little bit inviting and things like that. So the process is pretty simple for my kind of art. I use a lot of reference imagery and things like that. So I might go and scan the internet for a couple of things and look for some, shapes and just layouts in general, just for inspo. I'll bring it in here, and in Photoshop, my whole process is, I guess, Flynn, for those who are playing at home, it doesn't change too much for anything I do, I find I like to work rough like everyone else, and just rough in some shapes and stuff with my...
This is going to be hard, but can you lean back just a little bit?
Oh, yeah. How's that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's
We're fixing Dale's posture at the same time as doing this stream.
It's probably years too late. I'll just rough in shapes and stuff to kind of get my composition going. I'm just going to leave this in as my reference so that we can kind of not deviate too much from the actual art.
Yeah.
But all I ever do really is compose all my stuff like a tissue session where it's like, literally just carving out like... Sorry, I was just watching Jeremy sing shape carving.
Shape carving. Yeah,
I'm shape carving too, so I might just sketch in a few lines and have it, really loose, really like get the movement kind of in there. I know that they're gonna have arms, they're gonna have little features and things like that.
Yeah.
Same as drawing like the skull situation, getting all the angles and shapes into line. Maybe I know my text is gonna go above there.
That's something you do a lot in your sketches. I've noticed over the years of us doing stuff together, and I think it's a really valuable thing to think about. Like, because I would think that I would often approach things being like, I'm just going to draw this mascot. Like, I've got to get this mascot down, and then like, now at the very end, I better put the title or whatever in. But you're really thinking about it from the very beginning.
Well, I guess my background is graphic design.
Yeah.
Illustration kind of came in second.
That's crazy,
Second
right?
to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that, like, everyone will say it, like, they've always drawn since a young age and whatnot, but of course I always love illustrating, but I did study design. I worked in advertising agencies and all of that, so I am always considerate to like how big the brand should be versus the illustration, things like that. I'm just going to bump this up while we talk so you can have a look at what we're kind of discussing here.
Nice.
So like, I'm very conscious that, as cool as the graphic should be, you should be able to like tell your story throughout from top to bottom, balancing type, balancing colors, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, the actual process itself is, I think, very driven by graphic design.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I've always appreciated both sides of the spectrum. But yeah, in terms of the drawing, it is very much same process all the time. I rough out all my line work, and this is very, sorry, I got to remember I'm sitting up straight and I'm not at home. So like I know there's going to be type here. This is how I would generally map out an artwork, and this is literally, I might just do just a couple of eyes and stuff. So if I'm sending this over as a thumbnail sketch, people know that this is the direction.
And you call it a napkin drawing or something? So the
Yeah,
idea
like
is it's just like the back of a napkin?
Yeah, like a tissue.
Yeah.
I don't know what the term was back in the agency I worked at. They used to have tissue sessions. Maybe you could
Is it because it was advertising and they just cried because they had to work so hard?
I'm going to assume so because it made me cry a lot. But yeah, this is as you can do thumbnails as loose as you want or as detailed as you want. This is kind of just to get the bare bones into it. Obviously, when I'm creating, I've got we're going to pretend that I've revised this. But you can see that I just use like a little, like a pencil kind of tool. And for the most part, actually, it's always just the round pressure size in Photoshop. And with this view of the camera, you can see it right there.
Yeah.
So it's that's kind of what I would do to refine all my lines, and all it is layer building really. For this particular project, that I knew it was going to be a single color, so I just needed the outline. So I'll just go in with the outline with the hard round pressure size, and you can see nothing. Sorry, I can't see what the color is down there on the. What's going on here, guys? I'm on the eraser tool. That doesn't help.
That's the second time the eraser tool has gotten in the way.
Yeah, so obviously when I draw, just quickly, you can see these lines are a bit shaky here.
Yeah.
Obviously, my posture is probably not helping the line
I'm
drawing.
making you lean way back just so I can capture it.
I definitely, with my settings, if you can see up here, you've got like a few settings for opacity, flow, and smoothing. I always kind of bump the smoothing up a little bit, like you can have a play around. Obviously, if it's really high and it's at 100%, the line lags a little bit, you can see that.
Yeah.
So that's quite laggy. And then if you have it all the way down here to 0, it's very like, it can feel every little like line movement that your hand does. So I try to put it up halfway for all my drawings. Oops, sorry.
You don't worry about this for sketching or anything like that. It's just when you're trying to put down like the real like line work, right?
Yeah, so for that little sketch that we're just doing, that real rough stuff, it doesn't matter, just do it really quick. But then for this sort of stuff, I just want to make sure that I'm using kind of like 40% is pretty good. And you can see when you draw, sorry, I'm just gonna...
Yeah, nice.
So it's a much smoother line.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps and it also helps with getting tapered lines and things like that. There's a lot more control. There's a few more settings if you want to explore it. Like there's a pulled string mode, all these things kind of...
What's pulled string mode?
Pulled string, like all I know is that it looks like it leaves this line and then it's really like smooth. The curves are really smooth. So you can see it's got this circle. And
so it's like following it on a string or something, right?
And it's... For what it's worth, that's quite a good line.
Yeah.
But it has that extended delay, so as I'm drawing, it's really slow to get to that point, and then you got to hold it just to make sure it doesn't deviate from that.
Right.
So I just leave it on the stroke catch up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's and with the lines themselves, I'm not using, well, I have never been one to kind of. I see a lot of these guys that draw and they're amazing illustrators and they go in and they're doing, the shortcuts to increase brush size and all that. Yep. I just pick one size and you can see that I can get quite a difference in line weights just by,
That's the pressure sensitivity that you're relying on there, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, sorry, I just went on, the tablet's a touch screen, so I'm just going to turn that off. Now we can draw. So yeah, that's just one line weight.
Nice.
And I can just use that like that, or if I want to get these thinner lines, I just press a bit lighter.
Do you ever deviate far away from your initial sketch, or do you like to get it like pretty much like there for the sketch, and then you're really just focusing on getting the line work?
I guess with this as the example, I'm trying to keep it true to that, but as I'm doing my refined drawing, so once you go from, I guess, oh sorry, now I've turned the touch off.
Touch off.
So if I was doing it any other way, I would probably go, okay, well, there's the eyes there. That's fine. Do we want the eyes there? Does it matter if they're there? Not really. We can just, I think there's 2 stages to this. There's conceptual drawing, which is rough, and then there's the other version, which is, you know, coming in and actually, sorry, I'm just coming across here. So if I'm doing a refined line, maybe I just work on these shapes a bit better. So again, still not perfect, right? But we're getting, and then I can see that's where the direction I want, but maybe I want the mouth to be, you know, a bit more, you know, maybe it's going to have like a few more details just to add into to this drawing. So you're going to do a couple of rounds of this, I guess, how do you say it? Like, you're going to have this conceptual round that changes.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of times before you actually get to probably this point, which is quite a refined artwork.
Yeah.
Like it's probably considered finished if you wanted to leave it like that, but this is still being drawn in Photoshop. You know, I've used like, you know, the brush tool to my advantage. I've made it had a bit of texture and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would still go in there and maybe I want to add some details on the gloves or, you know, on the shoes or something. But I kind of at this point have got it to a point where client's pretty happy, and you know, I wouldn't want to deviate too much from it.
Yeah. So you usually have like client sign off by that point.
Yeah.
Once you're doing like the.
I'd call this maybe like 90% done, because the sketch is already done and you can see it already looks great. The last 10% is making it crisp, ready for print and things like that. So yeah, I like to reference a lot of you know, material from other artists and things like that. But I do like to add my own, I guess, flair, flavor, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's over time I just get quicker and more confident with stuff like that. But at the moment, I find it nice to dabble into this kind of style after doing like skulls and dark, I guess, content for so long. And now all of a sudden a lot of people, a lot of friends actually are starting businesses, so they want my take on these little retro logos, and it's fun. So
yeah, right.
You know,
is that like putting it out into the world, and then more people are like, oh, actually, I kind of need something for that. Or I have a project for that, or I like that style.
Well, I always heard something once at a talk, and they were like, you know, passion projects are the things that fuel your business. So do more of the things, you know, put into the world, more of the things you would like to be working on. So yeah, I do it a lot now, and I just, if I feel like I want one particular style, I'll pump it through Instagram a little bit, and somehow it works. The system works.
The system works.
Yeah. So I've got my little drawing on the go here, so that's just all using this brush tool. But then also I'm just going to jump over to here. I've got this other pre-cooked meal over here.
Pre-cooked.
So that's kind of like where we end up on this artwork.
That's awesome.
But I like to go in and you know, this is obviously for social creating, so I consider after I've done the artwork, I'll present to client stuff like this, where it's like I'll go in, have my artwork set up, and then I'll create some carousel artwork for them and put some mock-ups on.
Yeah, mock-up always helps, doesn't it?
Oh, it sells the dream. It definitely does. Yeah. People don't even need to know what's going on. As soon as you put it on a coffee cup, they're like, that's so sick.
Especially if it's like their name or their like logo.
It encourages them to do a bigger spend, I find, and not so much on my end, but like, you know, just by putting this little mock-up together, you know, I was, you know, able to tell a story. So I'm always thinking about like story start to finish. And yeah, this is kind of like my whole process is based around, like you said, an artwork that's been considered. It's not just an illustration per se. There's a lot more going on, and yeah, for what it's worth, I like to do it like this. I do a little social blast where it's like full logo, how it tears apart, and then the mock-up, and I think that really helps. And I know it doesn't have much about sketching, but I think if you're sketching, you should always be considering, end goal and that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's the fun little project that I kind of worked on. But
I love that. I just got to say the halo over the top
little
of
halo,
kiosk is really, really cool. That's nice. That's that graphic design branding.
Well, I think it's
coming out.
Yeah, that little kind of flair, that kind of
smile on the mind, like understated kind of thing.
Yeah. And you kind of, you don't have to be I guess you don't have to be a great designer to create great art. You just have to be confident and creative enough to put it out there, like you said. So yeah, but doing the mock-ups help and things like that, and that's as simple as downloading mock-ups online, and chucking them onto these smart layers and stuff like that. So you can just go in here and we can sketch straight onto this cup if we want to. So you can draw your little donut, your little bagel guy, sorry. It's perfect to how I draw it.
It's one-to-one.
Yeah, and this time he's got a tongue, So like you can do that, and then you save it on, and boom, you've got it on a coffee cup. It's real easy. It's fun. I think the best part about being an artist and being able to sketch and work at whatever speed you work at, like there's so many ways to put that artwork into the real world without even having to drop $1. So yeah, it's cool. I really enjoy this style and this technique, and yeah, you kind of get lost in it, like you said, you can deviate from there, and you can start putting on some extra details on the hand. So we'll just go in here.
I've got to tell you as well, there's a new way that you can do mock-ups from kind of any photo using Illustrator without using
I think
mock-ups.
I've seen this.
Have you seen it?
And it meshes.
Yeah,
I saw it. I think it was on God love it, Instagram. I saw a t-shirt one, and it kind of moves across the shirt. It's pretty impressive.
It's pretty crazy. So that's just an extra little bit of like AI seeping into all of the Creative Cloud products. If you haven't tried it, you got to try that one out. It's pretty impressive. So you could even take a photo of like a cup on your table on your phone, and then upload it to Illustrator
library.
And then so it uses the gradient mesh and lighting as well. It adds lighting to it.
I'm pretty impressed. Like I'm a bit of a I don't try to learn new tricks too often. Like I like what I like. I think it keeps it true to like sketching on paper, all you've got was a paper and a pen.
Yeah.
I kind of keep that theory through my sketching and stuff like that. Like right now, I just sit there for a couple of hours just drawing this guy, going back and forth on lines, and maybe this has to be a thicker eyebrow. It's one of those things. It's kind of like if I try to learn too much, I forget the roots of what it's all about. But with that said, I've used the AI, like the generator, the background, the generative fill on silly things like putting dogs where they don't belong, or, and it's cool. It's good to see the world moving that quick, and it's making everyone's job a little bit easier, which is nice as well.
Yeah, that's the hope. It's a co-pilot, not a replacement.
And
definitely. By the way, we haven't mentioned it today, but like yesterday, everything came out, so everything's in public now. So you can use Firefly, you can use generative expand, you can use generative fill, etc. There's so much going on at the moment. So many new toys to play with. So definitely go check that out.
Yeah, keep up, or you get left behind. Actually,
it's moving so fast.
It is. It's crazy. And here I am still just drawing, like taking too long to draw a bagel. Like I'm sure there's a button I can.
You're making everybody in chat hungry. Everyone, toasty or bagel has been a debate. Yeah.
Well, is at the time? Is it almost lunchtime? Yeah, or past lunchtime?
Almost.
Yeah.
We've got a green room and everything here, so there should be some food out there for you guys, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a bit different to doing it at home after the stream.
Then you got to go cook.
I got to go make my own terrible sandwich. But yeah, so that's kind of, there's not a lot to, I guess, this process. I think for me, I talk about it a lot about using reference photography, using other people's art as inspiration, but really make it your own, bring it in, add those details, add that, creative flair that we all have. And I think it's a really fun way to kind of, express yourself and put it into like a business, someone else's business, like I did another one for these guys. The coffee cup was on a skateboard. Like I love skating, so I put my own flair into it that I love, and people eat it up.
Just a little Talon skateboard.
Yeah, or a little Talon.
Yeah,
yeah. I put the Talon logo on it.
Yeah, that's a callback to an old stream. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's it. It's a pretty straightforward little process, and I think starting rough and kind of building up those layers and having all these, this room for, like you can see, you don't have to follow those lines line for line, but like you said, at one point you get to it, you get to the artwork and go, okay, well, that looks great, why change it? So yeah, you can add little Adidas on him, or little sneaker brand, whatever you want to put on here. Like maybe you want to make it like have some extra tread.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like just keep going, zone out for a bit, block the world out.
That's it. Put some music on, or whatever you want at this point.
Yeah, the power of sketching. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, hey, it goes really fast, but yeah, we're out of time. So
that's all good.
I get to say pens down because you have got the Wacom pen there.
Yep.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. I love that you and Jeremy, no pressure, Bianca and everybody else, have just like shown kind of quite different work to what I would expect.
Well, yeah, I thought coming into this is a different environment, it's a different time, so let's do something fun.
That's perfect. That's awesome, man.
Oh, awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Hey, we've still got 3 more artists coming up. And coming up next is Bianca Beers. So thank you, everybody. Stick around. We'll be back in about 5 minutes with Bianca. Thank you again,
Awesome.
Dale.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
See you soon. Hi everyone, and welcome back. Here we are with Bianca Beers.
Hi.
Live in the flesh,
Yes.
back from her trip to Malta and everywhere else in Europe.
Yes, Malta was definitely the highlight.
We're just talking about that then. I feel like everybody I know was like, it was a lot of Instagram jealousy happening with a lot of people.
Sorry.
And you were definitely one of those people.
I was posting everything.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Here I am.
I know. Sitting here freezing, and then like people are like, yeah, check it out. We're just down here on this beach.
And check out this golden tan.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty amazing. Look at the difference,
I
you know.
know.
Look at that. I'm like almost green screen. Yeah, so Bianca Beers is in the house. What is up? It's so good to have you here. We've got a project that you're kind of like halfway through, which we'll share in a moment. But I also, in case people are not familiar with your work, what's the elevator pitch? Who is Bianca Beers in 2023?
Oh, good question. I'm not good with the elevator pitches. I am a artist, designer, and content creator.
Yeah.
So I like to create in all different forms. This year I've been doing a bit more stuff like pottery, and I want to do
awesome.
glass blowing as well.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I feel like doing a bit more of that pottery and then also integrating art and like painting would be really cool. But yeah, I'm just exploring this year. I think a bit more
Cool.
than I have before.
I love that. That's super cool. Let's get on to the digital stuff.
Yes.
You are in Photoshop here.
Yes, I am.
Cool.
I love Photoshop. She's my bestie. So this is just like a personal project. I was sketching up myself one day, and then I got the email from Flynn about this, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop now, and I'm just going to finish it on
perfect.
camera. So, I mean,
Are these real earrings? Do you own these earrings?
I
Or-
do not,
Okay.
unfortunately.
This could be
But
a
I
glass
actually-
blowing.
Totally.
Right? This is it.
Actually, okay. I do not, but they're beautiful, and I asked her. So this is a friend, Hanam.
Yeah.
And she's got such a beautiful side profile. I just really wanted to draw it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, these earrings are gorgeous. I asked her where she got them from, and she told me, but I forget where that was.
Okay. Shout out to no one.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm working from a image that I have here on my phone.
Cool.
So I'll just be looking down here every now and then. But as you know, I like to work in layers, so I'm just adding a new layer every time I want to add something, because then it's easy to take it away if we hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm using Kyle's, one of his brushes. I don't know which one this is. I only know the shape. Real Oils #1.
Right. Shout out to Kyle. I'm surprised that's the first time anyone's mentioned Kyle T. Webster since we've been live.
Really?
Well, it's Johanna and my live stream bingo. Is whenever we
Really?
have someone on, we're like, someone's going to, and we're like, oh yeah, bingo,
Have a
there
shot.
we go, there's the shout out. Because obviously they're just amazing brushes, and he's got so many
Oh my
of them
god, they're
as well.
so good, and there's so many. And this one actually is really good for like blending as well, if you want to blend with other things. But often
Right.
I work in layers, so there's nothing to blend. But sometimes I do when I'm feeling fancy.
Nice. Also, hashtag not sponsored, but this surface I haven't seen before, which is super cool.
What haven't you seen?
I've only seen the older surfaces. I haven't seen one like this with the USB-Cs out and
Oh,
stuff. And
cool.
the
Yeah.
screen looks really nice. That's all.
It's
very crisp.
and it has. Okay, this better get spawned eventually, but it has a pen that's like, look, built into the
Oh,
keyboard.
that's cool.
Yeah, and it's magnetized, so
Oh,
it just
nice.
sticks. We don't have the older
This
over
isn't
the
a-
shoulder cam. Anyway, back to the drawing, back to the Adobe products.
Yeah.
I'm just adding some sheen on her hair. That's what I'm getting at right now. So a little bit of this.
Nice.
And then I always do it like with full opacity, and then I just dial it down. And I use the soft eraser brush to kind of like get rid of the edges a little bit, but I like to have a little bit of the roughness showing through.
nice.
That's too much.
So cutting back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I'll dial it down to maybe 20%
Yeah.
or 28.
So I think when we first met, and actually I think we did our first live stream from the studio when it
We
used to be in a
did.
different space.
Yeah.
And it was portraiture. We were doing this sort of thing. You did that a lot back then.
Yeah.
This reminds me a lot about this. Are you doing this a lot, or this is obviously a personal?
Yeah, this
kind
is
of
a
project,
personal.
right?
Yeah, this is a personal project. So
Yeah.
for work, not really. But when I'm doing stuff for myself, it's always portraits, and then I'll always add in some florals in the background because I love a bit of botanicals.
Why not?
But they're my favorite things to draw. People's faces, and like I'm really inspired by faces and like fashion as well. So often the outfits will make a debut
Right, an appearance.
when I do the full body drawings, but this was just all about a beautiful side profile.
Yeah.
which I love. It's just giving goddess.
It's like see your friend, and it's great. You see your friend, you're like, oh my god, I must draw you.
Yes. No, that's the energy though. That really is the energy. That's how I feel.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I like it.
I love that.
You kind of know if you're gorgeous because I'll want to draw you. So yeah, sucks to be you, Flynn.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've known you for quite a long time. That hurt more than I admit. That's great. By the way, if you've got any questions as we're going along, feel free to throw them in chat as we're rolling along. How do you do all the texture in the background? I guess. I mean, there's a lot of texture happening on the face, but yeah, what's the texture?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie.
Don't lie.
Yeah, no, it's not in me. I'm a Sagittarius. I just found a texture like online.
Oh right,
and
it
I just
works.
pop it in every time, and
That's
I
awesome.
maybe will change the transparency or something. But yeah, that's just like a PNG that I got
Just rotate
one
it
time.
next time,
Yeah,
like it's different.
Twist it. Sometimes you clone stamp. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. That's cool.
Enlarge, decrease.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very lo-fi and nothing to write home about, I don't think.
I love that. I think anything that speeds up, unless anyone's like calling you out on it, it's like it totally works. I was like that a lot with like paying for mock-ups or paying for textures or images and stuff like that. And then one day someone was like, just do it. It will save you so much time.
Totally.
And then I did it and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't do this a long time ago.
Especially if you're doing it for, like, obviously, like, the part that's important, you do it yourself, right? But background stuff that doesn't matter, like, what for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if it's going to save me time, it's going to save me money at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And I'm about that bag. Okay, so I'm still going on the hair, and probably like 20 minutes is like much less than I think. So I think maybe I'll get to some more fun stuff, which is like background florals. And then we can do more on the face.
So this is the sheen, so you're cutting that down like quite a lot. So it's pretty
Yeah.
subtle. So it's all about layering it slowly over time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is, I'd prefer to do a little bit and then be able to work up than not. But I don't even know if this is like necessary, this sheen part that I'm doing right now. I think maybe I'll just add a tiny little scratch. Oh no, I'm getting too many layers right now. When you have
Layer
too many,
44.
Yeah. I had about 50 before I came in. I had to flatten it.
This is
so that-
after it's been cleaned up.
Yeah.
I love that.
But she'll be messy again after this, I'd say. It's part of the job.
I love it.
And what's new with you?
What's new with me?
It's been a while.
Adobe Living.
Yeah, love
You know,
that.
we've been aiming
this
to
the
get
first-
back into the
first-
studio
Is
for a
this
long
the first time back in the
First
studio?
time, of course.
And I'm here. I feel
Yeah.
so special.
I know, even though you've never drawn me. It's-
One day,
One
I
day,
got
maybe.
you.
Yeah,
Okay, I
hints.
was telling him just today, he's got such beautiful eyelashes.
Thank
They're
you.
really long.
Thank you.
You can't do close-ups, hey? Shame.
Imagine.
And gorgeous.
Close up on this. That's amazing.
I'll catch those eyelashes sometime.
One
Don't
day.
you worry.
Yeah, we're doing Adobe Live. We've got Adobe Max coming up. I worked on that this year as well.
I'm
which is
going.
Cool. Oh, you're going over there?
They're sending me
Oh my goodness.
to LA.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm not even going.
sorry.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. Should be good.
That is super cool.
It's just like a bit of a vibe, isn't it? And
It
it's always
is.
like I watch it every year on my computer and
Yeah.
I'm taking notes and getting inspired, but to actually be there, I feel will be like a really good energy.
Have you been before?
Never.
Oh, you're going to love it. That's so cool.
I went to the after party once when they had one here in Sydney. Did they ever have one here in Sydney? There was like an after party for it.
We didn't. Oh, yeah, we did yes, we did.
There was?
I was at that after party. We
Yeah,
went to
I
dinner.
know. I think that's the first time we met.
We.
And then we did live after that, I think.
Oh, ages ago?
Yeah, like 4 years.
Oh, that
5
wasn't a
years.
Max. We called that Adobe Make It. Maybe it was that one?
I don't
Anyway, going down memory lane.
know. The old memory, she ain't so good
There
anymore.
was Make It, there was Symposium. Max has
Maybe it
always
was
been the big one.
Symposium.
Might have been Symposium, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds like something
Yeah.
that I did once.
Sounds about right.
Cool.
I should check back in with chat. What's up, chat? How's it going? Alessandra's saying, I sometimes struggle drawing and colouring hair. Any tips on how you get through it?
Okay, so I've never been like a strand by strand type of person because honestly, like when you zoom out, you don't see all the detail that you think is important, like
Right.
strand by strand. So I'll do the flat color, like in this case it's black, and then I'll add some like whatever the undertone is. Like I do it really sketchy, so this is just a really lazy person's way to do it. I'll add a bit of brown sketches because usually if there's light shining on hair. It's like a reddy brown. Not always, but in this case, yes.
Right.
And then I'll do, it may not be like color correct, but I'll do a white scratch just because I like that for the way that it looks as a whole. Can you, oh, you can't see where I'm pointing. I'll use this. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Perfect.
Without having to actually do
I
the
love
thing.
that. That's great.
I'll do like thin lines to indicate where the light's really hitting, and then I'll do like perpendicular lines to show kind of like indicate the way the hair's going. And then I don't know if you can see on screen, sort of, there's like some brown swishes. I'm just don't want to actually rub stuff out, so I'm really lightly trying to do that to indicate the way that it's going. And then eventually I'll build it up and I'll add like different colors, like with the soft brush. So using just the soft round brush, you can see if I wanted to do like a highlight, maybe in a light brown. I'm not gonna do this for the whole thing because this is just for the demo. We'll go under the white. Oh, of course. Now it's silent. Talk to me, Flynn.
I'm trying to follow what you're doing. Layer 47 going under layer 44.
Why is it still called layer 48 when I've flattened the layers? Like, get with the program. Okay, well, basically, let's just use our mouths.
Right.
I would add some color under here with the soft brush and then just like work it under so it kind of looks like it's blending out from like the super highlight, which is just here.
Right.
And I would do that. That's something that's like more detail, so it's later on in the, like, I work from like base and then I add slowly detail.
Yeah.
How long do we have? Just out of curiosity.
About 13 minutes left.
Oh, okay, not too bad.
Not too bad.
I'm gonna do some background stuff because I find it's really fun. And then we'll get back to highlights and contours and color and stuff like that with the face.
Nice.
But when I was just in the lobby, this is what I added. So it's
Wow.
like, yeah,
Big
I
difference,
wanted to
isn't
keep
it?
that, yeah. I mean, that's not even flat. This, I did this actually.
Right.
So these two together. Anyway, fun. I love
Yeah.
doing it before and after. It's one of my
That looks
favorite
great,
things.
yeah.
All right, so before the texture layer, I'm gonna go to town with some florals. And you guys have really cool fake flowers in the lobby that
Are
I
they
took a
fake?
photo of. Yeah.
Are they? The bit in the big vase?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, okay, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the leaves looked fake. Let's see.
Oh my God.
Let's analyze
That's
this.
amazing.
I thought they were real, but yeah, like the
Oh, yeah,
leaves.
that looks fake.
Yeah.
You guys can't see this, but yeah, it looks pretty fake.
Anyways, I love the lilies, so I'm gonna replicate that. But first things first, I always go in with like a regular, just like 5-petal, Real Oils 1, 5-petal looking thingy. So we just go like this. Wait, what's happening now?
You're on layer 47.
No, but like it's not working. That's why the other thing wasn't working either. I thought it was a layer thing. What's happening? Talk to me.
I'm trying to find out. Maybe just start a new layer and pop it up. Is it because you're below everything? You're below everything.
No, I'm not. I'm below this.
Yeah.
But it should.
Aren't you below the face?
Yeah, but I'm drawing here.
Oh.
Did all of a sudden maybe? No. Look.
Interesting.
What's this? No.
Using the brush tool? Using
Yeah.
the brush?
Let's use a normal brush and see what happens. But see, when I was trying to, yeah.
Doesn't like it. Maybe just try a new layer on top, just in case there's something crazy going on with the layer.
We were just talking about in the lobby how like everything goes wrong when you're doing
Yeah,
live.
especially.
Never
on
does
live.
when you're at home, always when you're on live. And Jeremy was saying, oh, but that's the joy of live, isn't it? Joy?
The joy.
Joy where? Excuse you.
Where's the joy?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should close down and then...
Let's start again.
Yeah.
Let's reopen
Let's
it.
see.
Yeah. Has this ever happened to you?
When you're on Adobe Live,
I did a demo yesterday, and it was showing some of the new Firefly things. By the way, go try them out.
Oh, I actually had to play with that as well.
Yeah, and everybody was using it, so it just kept going, no, come back later. I'm like, I'm literally streaming right now, and I work for you. Like, come on, let's
Just work!
Just work, please. But lucky I'd practiced the demo before,
Nice.
and so I could just press Command C and everything popped back up. So I was like, okay, pretend it's working. This is what it would look like.
Someone's a professional.
That was pure luck.
All right, here we go. We're
we
opening
go.
the program again.
Let's try again.
Now let's get layers on.
They're on, they're just down the line.
Yeah, I just wanted to open it up. Okay, let's see.
Nice.
Here we go.
There we go. Just
Love
needed
it.
a quick on and off.
It did. And we're back. So we'll go back to our little scratchy brush. And we're going over the texture under the face. Oh, she's laggy now. Maybe I haven't done an update. That's like one thing I always need to do before I come on lives.
Not just like 5 minutes beforehand either. You need to do
Yeah,
it like
no.
a day before or something.
Yeah, you're right.
Otherwise, the updates can be crazy. So yeah, so you have a go-to flower?
Just like, I'll just do like, it's nothing amazing. It's just like a sketchy flower, but I'm not super loving it. Maybe down here. Boom, boom. No, it needs to be smaller, I think. Like this, yeah, that's fine. And then I'll just reduce the opacity to like that. And then I'll make a smaller size and then even smaller. And then I'll just do like a couple of layers of like flowers.
Yeah, it's like an
I'm
offset kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's cool.
cute. And then maybe some spray paint sort of vibe. I don't know if red's gonna be the color. But I find that when you use your pen, it makes like an, okay, so for a spray paint effect, I use the soft brush, just the regular soft round brush. But if I use the pen, it always turns out too hard. So I have to use the keypad.
Right.
Perfect.
Because of the pressure? Like it comes out?
Yeah, I think so. And then if I want to do a little like drippy, I'll do a little circle, and then I bring it down and I increase the hardness all the way. And we'll do some little drippy drips.
Like spray
So it
paint
looks-
kind of.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
dripping down digitally.
I get it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. I don't mind the red.
Nice.
And then we'll do some more yellow, I think. I'm gonna flatten that because the old program is getting a bit buzzy.
And would you, if someone's lucky enough to be drawn, would you give this to your friend?
Yeah.
Like, here you go?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Giving back to the community, the only way I know how.
One portrait at a time.
Yeah.
That's
she's
awesome.
she's for the people.
Lovely. I love that.
All right, let's get to these lilies, these stunning fake lilies. No.
That's going to be hard to...
Oh, look, sort of.
Oh, do you want to... Yeah, thanks, Chad. We got it. We'll try it this way.
We could have closed up on your eyelashes after all.
We could have done it. Should be able to see it from...
Totally. They're very long. They're like camel's eyelashes in a good way.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm
That's
going
what you're
for.
going for?
Yeah, I didn't really realize until I had my son, and then my son had really long eyelashes.
Nice.
And then everyone talks about them all the time. And they're like, oh, yours are really long too. And I was like, oh.
It's weird that it's
that
taking
zoom
everyone
in
so
is
long to
weird.
realise.
Chad, it just came up on my screen. Stop it.
Ah, yes!
I have a big head, but mate, it is not that big. Oh my God. Thank goodness Johanna is taking over hosting responsibilities after this, all right?
Yeah.
And 3 is clearly like the end.
Oh, God, so funny.
10 points to Chad, though. I love that.
Yeah, that was funny.
I love that.
You should be proud of them. They're beautiful.
I didn't put any work in, you know. They just like that.
They just
you know.
blossomed.
Alessandra, eyelashes are the same way. Good, that's great. And Annika in the chat as well. And Ramesh, I don't know if you're still there. It was great to see you pop into chat before. I'm just having too much fun here in the studio.
This always happens when he's with me.
That's right. That's why you got invited back. The first time we're doing it all again
Of
here
course.
at Adobe in Sydney in the studio.
And then we're all going for drinks after. Can I
know.
say that?
Yeah,
Cute.
there you go.
I'm excited. The gang's all gonna gas bag. That's kind of cute. It kind of looks like
I like that.
like she's off to the races.
They call it a fascinator, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I forgot the word.
Who's running this production? I love it. Yeah, that's our boy Chad in the corner over there.
Oh, Chad,
Yeah.
the man.
The man. Whole band back together again. This is super cool. I think I'm trying to remember all the way back. But you used to like allow people to sort of say, "Hey, you pick someone from your Instagram,
Yeah.
or something,"
Oh,
and then
I haven't
you
done that in a while.
and then you would draw them like once a month or something like that.
Yeah, I should get back to that.
Yeah.
I've been feeling, like, not gonna lie, I was also telling everyone in the lobby, I've been feeling so uninspired pretty much the whole year.
Oh, really?
So I'm hoping Adobe Max brings back the inspiration, because generally it does.
Yeah.
And that's not spawn, that's just facts. But yeah, like all year.
Yeah.
Super
right.
uninspired. But like a lot of life things have been happening, so it's to be expected.
Yes.
But I'm like, I'm waiting. I've been doing pottery, I've been like going out in nature, I've been doing life drawing class, all these different little things. Like, yeah, get the inspiration back, but
Yeah,
she hasn't
nice.
come yet. But
She'll come.
yeah.
It'll happen. Yeah.
Who was it? I think Dale was like, yeah, it might take 5 years or something. I'm
You're like,
like,
oh god.
5 years? No, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to shout out my friend Quinn, who I went to. Do you know the brand Basic?
Yes.
Yeah, he did a collab with them, and we went to the party last night, and it was
cool.
actually him that was saying it might take 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, great, thanks for the...
Dale was like 7.
Yeah. He was more realistic.
Yeah.
But Quinn does 3D art. He's really got really good art, and I looped you in with him earlier today.
Oh, cool.
I hope that's all right.
Always looking for new artists.
Get at him. His email is... Kidding.
He lives at.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always loved the name Quinn. Wanted to
Me too.
name my son Quinn, actually. But then I'm
Really?
like, Flynn and Quinn, that's too close. So we decided against it.
I mean, I don't know.
I know, it would have been fine, but it
Yeah.
didn't make the cut.
Mama said.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
the boss.
Yeah.
Come on.
And that's fair. I had this discussion with my
Sweet.
brothers, my dad and my brothers. My dad was trying to say that the man should be able to name the boys and the
Right.
woman names the children. And I was like, the girls.
The girls. Wow, you divide it by gender.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
I was like, okay, at the end of the day, the woman has to carry the child for 9 months and give birth, rip herself open, so she should get last say. Is that too graphic for an Adobe?
yeah. Stay tuned for more. Okay,
Hold that.
Let's cut to the footage, the pre-roll footage we have of an actual birth. No, we're not going to go through that. There's absolutely no way on camera that I would disagree with that.
Great.
There's just not a world that
Thank
I would
you.
disagree with that at all. Yeah.
Love that for me.
We were very
I always
collaborative
win.
with our naming of kids, but I did ultimately end up
Wait, what's his name then? Sorry.
Quill.
No.
Yeah. Quill. L's. Quill, like a quill.
Okay, I like it.
Oh,
but
wow, she hates it.
No, I don't mind it, but it is like, okay, Flynn and Quill.
Yeah.
Like, it's even...
That's my boy you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Cool.
I have the shock recorded, all right? We have that
All
on
right.
camera, so...
Did it look
I gotta watch
really-
that. You're like, I'm surprised you didn't drop your
I thought you were
webcam.
joking. 'Cause it's basically Quinn.
Can't crawl. Yeah, I know, it is very
But
close.
it's, like,
That's
weirder
that was
than
the
Quinn.
That was the logic leap. Anyway, this is something you would never get if we weren't live in the studio. This is like real stuff happening. We are only 2 minutes out.
And I'm uninvited to drinks.
yeah, the exit's out that way, buddy. No, we've only got a minute left.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
that flew by really quickly.
It really goes fast, doesn't it? This
Okay.
is super cool.
Well, we're getting there. So yeah, basically building up all the layers. I mean, I would like to use other colors other than yellow and orange, red, maybe orange. But 3 minutes left. It's not going to get
No,
finished
1
today.
minute left.
But I can share. Okay, sorry. I can share it. I'll share it on Instagram when it's done.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, for now, I'll just keep going, I guess, until you tell me time's up.
Well, I think we'll do times up now because we want to make sure that we've got time enough. Sophie Elinor is jumping on next with Johanna. I think that I'm at I'm done with
at wit's
hosting.
end.
That's it. But yeah, I've had a great time hanging out with you, Bianca,
Me
of
too.
course, and all of you as well. So stay tuned. We'll be back in 5 minutes on Adobe Live. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back. I'm now here with Sophie, the wonderful Sophie, and also back in the studio. It feels very, very surreal and strange, but good to be back. Now, we've been doing illustration for this Sketchtember extravaganza, but now we're moving into something a bit different, aren't we?
Yes, we're going to get into some animated lettering.
Yep. Animated lettering. Yeah. Amazing. Well, I think... why don't we just jump right into it?
Yeah, sure. So maybe we can start with a little, here's one I prepared earlier kind of thing. So just in the theme of the day, I thought it's exciting. We're all here in the studio together, like, woohoo, let's actually animate the word woohoo. So that's what I've done here. So for a bit of context, like I'm a graphic designer and typographer and do a lot of animated lettering. And so this is kind of the realm that I really like to play in. And so with this guy, it's maybe on the surface appears relatively simple, but there's quite a few different layers involved in this little guy. But yeah, I've just, you know, for the celebration of the day, stuck the word woohoo on a little roller coaster, and that's the animation we're going to dive into today.
That's incredible. I love the little hands.
The little hands
that
going
go
up.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, so maybe I can start with the Illustrator file, and we can sort of go from
You're the boss,
beginning.
boss. Yeah, let's go.
All right. So the Illustrator file is not particularly complex. There's only a couple of layers in here. You can see the canvas is really quite wide, and that's just to give enough space for this kind of roller coaster path that I've drawn here. So we've got our background color here, and we've got each letter is just on a different layer. And I've drawn the letter H with the hands kind of already extended, just so I've got that that's kind of my final position locked in. And then this is getting a little bit in the weeds, I suppose, but the sort of shape that I've drawn for the roller coaster, if I just kind of drag a copy of this across, you can see that there's a point where it sort of repeats on itself. So it's more than just one complete cycle. There's a little bit extra on either side.
Excellent.
And that's going to help when we come to doing the loop and making it loop kind of as seamlessly as we can.
Easier.
Yeah. It's just giving us a bit of excess so that we don't just have like a jumpy start and a jumpy finish. So yeah, that was the theory with that anyway. So a pretty simple file setup. And then the roller coaster layer is just, it's just an outline. I've just drawn it, I've kept it as a stroke with no fill, and that's going to become the path that we use once we get into After Effects.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, before you jump over, I've just realised that I have my name tag on, so I'm going to move that for now. We all know my name. Sorry about that, folks. And is it now time to jump into After Effects?
Yeah. So the Illustrator part of things is quite simple. The trickier stuff comes when we jump into After Effects. So you can kind of see there's a few different layers here, or a few different levels, I suppose, to this file. This is the finished one that we sort of started with here, where everything's kind of locked in and the timing is nice and fluid, and we've got a bit of, there's like a slowness as it kind of approaches that ascent of the roller coaster, and it kind of really slows down at the top and then speeds off. There's a few different ways to do this, like everything with After Effects, you know, there's 7 different ways to do the same thing. I reckon I tried probably all 7 ways that I could think of, and this was the best one. So I'm going to talk you through this one. So to start with, if we just have a look at our letter H on its own, because it's kind of the only letter that changes form throughout the animation.
Right,
with those little hands that come up.
Hands.
So you can see at the start of the animation, it's just a letter H, and then they kind of pop up as it's, you know, getting to the scary bit of the roller coaster.
Best bit, I think.
Does a little wave, and then kind of tucks back in once it does the little loop at the end there. And that's just a really simple bit of path animation. So in our letter H, because we've got it set to outlines, you can just go into the path option here. And I started
It is just on
Oh.
the path. If you want to show it again, I'll just hanker down.
Just here is our little path property that we're working with. And that's just allowing us to kind of grab onto the anchor points of that layer and move them around. So that's all I've done on this layer, is just bring those hands up. The other thing that I added into this is one of my favourite tools in After Effects. It's the puppet pin tool. And that's essentially just sticking pins in our little shape, and then we can individually move them around. It's really nice for if you just want like a little bit of a subtle bend kind of thing. And because in our final animation, it's not just the hands appearing, there's like a bit of a wave happening as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So a subtle little detail, but one that I think does make a bit of a difference in the final animation, and just like a little bit of extra flavour on top.
Yeah, like a whisper of jazz hands.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our letter H layer. Now we've got all of our layers kind of in our full composition. So this is pretty similar to what we had over in Illustrator. I might show you how I failed the first couple times. Because what I was thinking was, so usually what I would do is using the roller coaster layer, I would copy the path of this layer, because that's where I want the letters to go. So I would copy, like just Command C, copy that path, and paste the path on the position
Right,
of
yeah.
the letter layer. So it's a bit of a tricky thing. Well, it's actually quite simple really, but by drawing it in Illustrator, it means I don't have to kind of, mess around trying to draw it exactly perfect once I'm in After Effects. So I can just copy the path of the roller coaster, paste it onto the position of each letter. And I thought, oh, well, that's easy. I'll just offset those keyframes a little bit. Maybe let me show you just with one letter so you can kind of see what it's doing. I switch off these other layers. So that's just copying.
Oh, I noticed that how it, when you get the inertia, I suppose,
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
roller coaster, how it sort of stops and slows down and then woof, goes down.
So
the
that's
best part of the roller coaster, I think.
So that kind of inertia that you talk about is created just by adding ease to those keyframes. But here's where that went wrong, is because when I applied that to all of the other layers, and you can kind of see that these keyframes have just been offset from each other, maybe 1 or 2 frames here. Oops, let me turn the rest of the layers on so we can actually see it. When you turn all of the layers on, we actually get a bit of kind
Overlap,
of bunching
right.
together.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Which, could be what you want for some kind of animation,
Yeah.
but maybe not just for this one specifically.
Yeah, you lose the clarity of the word and it just becomes a bit messy. And as you say, it could be perfect for some other sort of thing, but I wanted the word to be legible the whole way along.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I tried with this, which I was like, oh, maybe this is a workaround for this, was just to create it as a font layer rather than as hand lettering. So in that case, you can just apply like a mask path to this, and then you're able to keyframe. Let me show you. If I turn these guys off. Gosh, there's a lot of layers in here.
Yeah, and it's fascinating stuff to me, and if I look a bit dumbfounded, it's because while, the principles are the same, and I can understand this from a 2D animation perspective, like all the technical, the onion layers, so to speak, that go into it are absolutely fascinating.
So if you do it as a text layer rather than importing outlines from Illustrator, it does work sort of well, but it just means you're limited to whatever the font is, and I can't have my little hands coming up, and that's kind of, yeah, we got to have the hands. So this method doesn't work. So kind of going back to square one with this, I still copied all of the the path keyframes from our roller coaster outline. So we've still used that, but instead of adding ease to all of those keyframes, you can see instead of the little the hourglasses that I have here, in this composition I've just got the diamonds, so there's been no ease added to it. And if I play this composition, the motion is very linear, so it's all happening like at a very uniform speed, which is not what I want, but it's kind of just a step in the process in this one. So I have in this instance been able to resolve that kind of bunching up and overlapping by doing it this way, and then the next layer is where we're gonna kind of finesse the timing and the speed of everything. So we've got our little hand is working. Oh, the other thing I should say is what I added in here, you can see these little keyframes.
I did spot some hourglasses.
Yeah, let me zoom in a bit so you can see this. So again, just to add another little detail that's gonna try and sell that movement for us, when the letters kind of hit the bottom of that roller coaster, they're shrinking down a little bit. And then when they hit the next bump, they kind of rise back up. So if you just maybe look at the O on the end, you can see that it's shrinking and then popping back up. So it's just kind of exaggerating that movement and adding another little detail that's just going to elevate it a tiny bit.
And that's something that you wouldn't have been able to do if it was
not easily.
Just the text itself.
Yep. So yeah, that's that little detail there. Now that all of that motion is kind of in line, there's a little bit of overlapping here, but it happens so quickly in the final thing that I'm not too stressed about it. As long as we're not getting the whole thing sitting on top of itself, I'm okay with that. The next thing I do from here is pre-comp this whole thing. So essentially just the After Effects version of grouping. So I've just grouped all of these layers together into this composition. Gosh, there's a lot of layers here. And the super special thing that I've done with this layer is use the time remapping feature, which is just right-clicking enable time remapping. And what that does is it allows you to keyframe, like drop some keyframes in your composition and just kind of play around with how fast or slow things happen. So for example, from here to here, I've managed to slow that down just by kind of spacing the keyframes out a little bit more. And I've been able to kind of, you can see this is really exaggerated in this section.
Absolutely.
And then from there down, I've sped it back up again.
So kind of like a sort of imitation ease and whiz.
Yeah, it's kind of easing from the outside a little bit. I don't know, there's probably a more technical term for the way that that's been done, but you can see...
Easing from the outside makes so much sense to me personally, so I think we go with that.
Yeah, let's do it, why not? So yeah, you can see that now we've got this nice slow approach to the high point of the roller coaster, and then we've got that speeding up, which is what I wanted there. So the last little bit of finesse on this whole thing, obviously this animation is like a bajillion miles too wide. We're not playing this on an IMAX theatre anywhere, so we don't need it to be however wide this is. We just want a square crop for the final thing.
This is true.
So for that, I've just created a pre-comp of these layers.
Grouped it one more time.
One more grouping. Which is this one here. So this is just a square composition for the final thing. And you can kind of see, if I zoom out a little bit, you can kind of see this grey outline behind our little square canvas. And I guess what I'm essentially doing here is creating a sort of faux camera. So it's, instead of, setting up a camera or whatever, I'm literally just importing this composition that's way too wide for our square view, and I'm moving the position of it behind.
Oh yes, just panning it across.
Yeah, so it's like a dolly kind of thing.
There you go.
So you can kind of see it when I scrub through, you can see that rectangle behind the square is moving along. And I've had to keyframe that as well because, when it hits the loop, it needs to be in this position for a little bit longer. And then we kind of move through to the final thing.
Very cool.
So that's how we end up on here. And then the looping of it is, you know, I've made a duplicate of this just so I can line it up and get it sitting exactly where the end and the start should kind of overlap, sort of going back to these little excess pieces that we had at the start and the finish of this. But yeah, there's a few layers in this one. It took a bit of figuring out to just kind of get everything working. But I think keeping it really stripped back and not actually having a picture of a roller coaster or anything like that motion is really implied by the way that it's just, you know, moving up and down and looping around.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And we all know the feeling of getting sort of right at the top of the roller coaster
and
and
that
just waiting for the
anticipation.
dip. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think that's something that you do really well in all of your type animations, is just really simplifying the movement enough so that it's not impossible to animate. Because these are like personal project, do it in a, well, maybe not an afternoon, but do it over 1 or 2 days or something like that, I can imagine. And then also make it simple enough so that the audience as well know exactly what it is in seconds of looking at it as well.
Yeah, and it's sort of an abstract thing too. Like, you know, if it was a little character on a roller coaster, it would make a lot more sense, you know, having the roller coaster in there. But because I mostly work with lettering, there's a bit more sort of implied environment that I have to bring into it without actually drawing it. So yeah, I think the combination of having, you know, just a tiny little human element with like the hands popping up and waving gives a bit of a nod to that. You know, it's just an inanimate letter H kind of thing. Well, we've animated it now, but it was an inanimate object previously. But we've kind of given it a little bit of a human character by adding those little hands.
Anthropomorphism.
Yes.
I got it right in the first try.
Nailed it in
My
one.
goodness. Wow. Take that, Flynn.
Well done. Yeah, and then, just having that kind of, you know, I really love a strong 2-color palette and that like high contrast, super saturated palette, I think works really well with this. Just, I've accidentally come dressed as this today.
I was just
I
going to
didn't mean
say,
to.
Stream, you won't be able to see the full outfit, which is stunning, but it is the iconic pink and blue. And what a treat for us, because we have to do the whole black. Well, we maybe don't have to, but that's generally the uniform around here. So we love that you bring the colour every single time.
Very happy to do it. But yeah, so that's, took some figuring out just to kind of, you know, normally I would try and do the keyframing within each layer, but just because of that bunching up and that overlapping really made it, you know, I was kind of tearing my hair out at one point. I was like, maybe this can't be done. Maybe I just need to like do something easier. But yeah, the time remapping was a very, like, really useful thing to kind of just treat the whole composition as one rather than trying to, because I guess that's the other thing with the roller coaster thing. If it was an actual roller coaster, the little carts would be joined together, so they should be treated as one.
And if you have them mashing together, then that's a bit of a mechanical problem.
Yeah, that's a safety
unfortunately.
issue. Someone's going to be liable for that. We can't have that with you know, insurance policies and whatnot. So
exactly, you know, premium these days on animated roller coasters are just through the roof. Absolutely.
So yeah, that's our little roller coaster character.
Yeah, amazing. Can I ask what inspired this idea originally? Was it just, you know...
I'd love to claim this as my own. It was actually my dad's idea. I was like, Dad, I'm going to be on Adobe Live in Sydney. It's going to be like in real life. We haven't done one in person. And he's like, yeah, cool. That's exciting. You should do like a woohoo. And then, the roller coaster kind of came about after a little brainstorm we had. So fully just have stolen my dad's idea there, but...
That's fantastic. Well, at least you gave credit. So it's teamwork. Collaboration. That is wonderful.
But yeah, I think I really love animating stuff that's like a little bit, you know, onomatopoeia or like a little exclamation or...
Bit whimsical, yeah.
Yeah, something that's, you know, can't do the whole live, laugh, love thing. So something that's a bit dorky and a bit silly, a little bit charming.
Absolutely.
Kind of feels like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we've talked about this a couple of times on the show, and I can't wait to talk about it more after this show. But just the need for more whimsy and silliness in work, especially now, and I feel like you could say especially now for any time of year. But yeah, it's much needed to have that bit of whimsy.
Yeah, I think
into
so.
the work. Makes it fun to create and also absolutely delightful for us to look at.
Yeah, it's
as
just
well.
joyful. I think you can't get enough of that. And it's totally, might seem a bit frivolous or like, you know, not totally necessary, but I find it really, like, kind of the most necessary thing really is like making time for silly stuff or
Absolutely.
just, you know, dumb stuff that doesn't really serve a purpose except to delight me in some way, like
Which is such an important purpose, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah.
I think because there's so much as part of work that can be you push through it to get to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And to have the fun stuff be so fun.
Yeah, and also
is
like so
so-
central too, like not just, you know, only a reward once you finish this amount of work. It's like, no, I'm gonna like make time for this, prime time kind of, you know. But yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get a bit too philosophical here, but I've heard like a lot of people describe it as like whimsy as resistance kind of thing.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, just sort of talking about like it being a very important kind of something that you should prioritize, I guess, because it really does. It makes you resilient, like, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. We need more whimsy in our lives, in our everyday. And we will actually have a bit more whimsy because we got craft-based designer Kitiya Palaskas joining us next.
So excited to see what she creates.
And we'll have a bit of a significant scene change, actually. This won't be all white. So in about, say, 5 and a little bit minutes, that will be the next and actual final artist of our Sketchtember extravaganza. It has been so much fun, and I hope we can do it again.
Yeah, my
again
pleasure.
soon.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining us, Sophie, and
you
I
for
can't
having
wait
me.
to chat about whimsy, silly, colourful stuff.
You know where I am, and I love those chats.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for joining us with Sophie, and we'll be back really soon with Kit. Back for our final instalment of Sketchtember, here now with Kitiya Palaskas.
Hello.
Kit. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Excited to be here.
I'm very excited to have you here. And we, as you can almost see, and we'll show you a bit better in a minute, we've got some stuff with us today.
We do have some stuff
to mess about with, because you're a craft-based designer. And you said this once, and I just love the phrase that you draw with scissors.
I can't believe you remember that, but yes,
Yeah.
I do.
No,
Draw
it's
with
just
scissors.
stuck in my mind like glue. But
Like
without
glue.
without further ado, now it's a rhyming live stream. Let's not do that though. Let's bring up the overhead camera so you can see all the fun stuff that we have.
Yes, here it all is. So I thought, because it's, Friday afternoon. Wait, it's Friday, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
It's Friday afternoon, and I thought, we've seen some amazing digital design today. I thought it might be nice to step into the analog world for a little bit and do some physical art making, because that's kind of where I guess my creative practice is based, although it obviously regularly crosses over into the digital world. But I thought it might just be a nice kind of ASMR experience, the play school component of this day.
Absolutely.
And we can just use our hands for things.
Fantastic. All right, so I see you got some flowers going on, and that's kind of your vibe. Do you want me to draw and cut some flowers
I
as
think
well?
that you should just see what happens.
See what happens.
You've got your little pair of scissors that you already had with you, like you
I
knew
have
this was going to happen.
My tiny pair of scissors. I don't know if we can. Oh, here we go.
They're very
There.
cute.
Tiny
So-
left-handed pair of scissors.
The reason why I'm just so into flowers right now is because I just finished painting a mural at a
right.
local pub here in Sydney. So I'm kind of on that flower tip at the moment, and I use a lot of floral designs in my work, and they end up in all sorts of different sort of ways. So I thought I'll just continue with that today, and there's just something really relaxing for me about cutting things out of paper, so I'm just gonna start and we can chat while we cut. And I don't know, I enjoy watching people craft, so hopefully.
Absolutely. No, this is right up my alley as well. And as soon as Flynn said that you were coming on, I jumped on the opportunity to do some arts and crafts, because this is my favorite as well.
Yes, I know you love it too. I usually start off all of my design projects with hand cut shapes. And then, I do a lot of illustration that ends up digitized, or I do a lot of kind of mass-produced prop and installation design construction. And it all kind of, any kind of illustrative component that I would create would start off like this. You were sort of talking about drawing with scissors, and I think I feel more, I've said it before, I feel more confident, like, cutting something with a pair of scissors than I do drawing something with a pencil. Like, I could probably cut any shape that you wanted with the scissors, but then if someone asked me to do it with a pencil, I would feel like a bit intimidated. I don't know why that is, honestly, but yeah. And so even when I'm creating branding design for clients, or like packaging design projects or illustrative projects, it always starts out as a hand cut shape, and then I would probably put it into Illustrator or Photoshop to clean it up first, and then Illustrator to vectorize it, and then from there manipulate like the vectors. But
Right, yeah.
it always starts out like this. And so at least I know that the sort of like source of all of my artwork has come from something that's like hand cut. So it's still craft based in my opinion. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And for those now seeing that I'm looking at my phone, and you can barely see it in frame, that's for the questions from chat. So if you have any questions for us today, or if you want to tell us about the last time you used pen, paper, scissors and glue, please do.
You know what is so great? You actually brought your own washi tape today.
I did, yes.
It's like you carry around craft supplies in your handbag like me.
It's almost like I'm a crafty person.
Yeah, I think you are one.
So we have some spiderweb tape, because Halloween is
Right around the corner.
approaching.
Best time of year.
And then just some nice green as well that I quickly rummaged around in my bag and brought with me. Because yeah, I do love myself a bit of arts and crafts for sure.
That, you know, like, I mean, I think I always say this, I guess, in defense of my own creative practice, but there's like, we have so much amazing stuff available to us in the digital design world at the moment, especially with techniques and things that we can use to make our work look crafty and handmade, even if it's digital. But I do think that there is also, if you're staring at a screen all day long, I think it's really important to spend some time just looking at not a screen, like, you know, doing some physical making to shift your perspective, and it might actually end up informing your digital design work, and it will allow your brain to like take a little break from the screen.
Absolutely.
Especially if you are a digital designer and you're spending all day like, you know, looking at a square.
Looking at a screen, yeah, and just the bright light and just looking at the same thing at the same distance. Like there's, I mean, I think we're probably the most biased advocates for doing arts and crafts on the regular. But there are so many benefits to making something with your hands and just being a little bit silly.
And it's really interesting when you combine both. Like lately I've been experimenting a lot with AI, because I've just been wondering like how I can embrace AI as part of my creative practice when everything I do is actually like made physically most of the time. But I've actually, like, I kind of didn't want to shy away from it because I know that it's here to stay, and you know, we should embrace it if we can. And so I've been actually using it as like ways to generate really like bonkers concepts for my for my props and installations, and then I will just feed it things and see what it comes up with, and then I will actually take those concepts and create them in real life.
Amazing.
So they go back to being like craft-based pieces at the end, and it's been really cool kind of using it in that way, and it's sort of exciting because I think the things that are coming out, like I've been, you know, like, yeah, I guess I'm still learning sort of how to give it the right prompts, but the things that have been coming out of it are so cooked. Like, I don't know, maybe it's my terminology that I'm using or something, but
no, I think from my experience, because we a couple of weeks or months ago we were doing the Firefly Fridays and just asking Firefly, which at the time was still in beta.
Yes.
Now it's out for everyone, out for the public, out
so
for
exciting.
Commercial use, which is super exciting. But back then it was still in the beta stages, and I admittedly really tried to push it in terms of what we could do with sort of a library that maybe wasn't built for like fantasy illustration kind of stuff.
So what were you doing with it?
So I was making like fantasy creatures. I was doing like a dream mid-century modern home. That one was a bit more realistic. But basically using it as a basis for illustrations. So it was a really nice sort of collaborative tool as I've sort of come to use it now in my practice, where I'll have an idea and maybe I test out sort of settings in terms of is it wintertime or is it summertime? And that's
Yeah.
something that I can very quickly test out. Or if I just want to make something absolutely bonkers, but I don't have the brain power to like fully kickstart it, I'll use Firefly for, let's say, fantastical plants and flowers or something like that, which funny enough that we're doing this today, because that is within like what amount of imperfection. Wow.
Imperfection.
See, there I
It's
go.
Friday
I was
afternoon.
so cocky about my anthropomorphizing, which nailed it again. That imperfections, I couldn't do it. There we go. It got me in the end. And this is how you know it's live. We have all these verbal fumbles.
When I first started, I guess, doing more illustrative work, because I've kind of always done 3D props and installations and costumes, set pieces and things like that, I was really intimidated because I didn't think that I had a place like in the digital design world, because of the way that I work, and like my practice is very physical. And I guess there's just something really fun about merging the two worlds, like digital and analog.
Absolutely.
And it's definitely like possible. But I guess at first I was like, how do I fit in here? I remember when I got like my first ever, I guess, like job or collaboration with Adobe, I was like, I think I got asked to speak at a conference, and I was like, why? Why have you asked me?
Goodness, that's just the imposter syndrome.
All I do is airbrush photos of myself for MySpace on Photoshop.
Essential work, I think, for sure.
That's how I first learned how to use Photoshop, actually, is by airbrushing
Amazing.
pictures of myself for MySpace. There you go. That was
You
the
heard it here,
first.
folks. That's how you do it.
I feel like the way that I've learned how to use like the Adobe Creative Suite is like having some kind of prompt that I need to like, or some kind of project that I need to complete. I did try like back in the day to read the whole like instruction manual from start to finish.
That's a
But-
valiant effort.
It's kind of like if you try to read the dictionary from start to finish. It's like impossible. And it's really overwhelming because there's just so much that you could do. So then I was like, okay, the brief is learn how to airbrush photos of yourself for MySpace. And that's how it began for me.
That's your origin story.
That's my Adobe origin story. I'm sure it's a lot of people's actually. But no one's
Yeah.
admitting to it on a
No.
live stream like I
They're
am.
not brave enough. Now, I'm trying to think now of what my origin story. I do think it was something very, very similar, where I've just now gotten like a vivid memory of just putting, because I think it was one of these tutorials that we were shown in high school of how to put a like an animal head on a human body. So I think I have probably an embarrassing amount of cats and dogs in suits.
It's
on
so
my computer,
crazy that you say
for
that
sure.
because like my graduating work at art school was actually like humans with cat heads. It was all about like
You knew.
personifying animals. So maybe I knew that we were destined to meet one day
I think so.
and talk about it on Adobe Live. I don't really know. I don't know what I'm doing with this. I feel like I just started channeling you there. Maybe you should use that one.
Oh, thank you very much. Let's see, where can I use this? And I'm just kind of doing, maybe I should center it, 'cause I was thinking initially of doing 3 sort of rows,
Yeah.
but I might not have time for that. So let's just see, maybe make like bonbons,
Oh yeah.
like sweet treats.
You know what you could also do with that? You could scan that and create like your own gift wrap or something for the festive season, which is coming up soon.
Good. Oh my goodness.
You could do that.
See, love how, and we were saying this just before, and it's a core of your practice of just being able to reuse things, like making them once in person or like traditionally, and having that very tactile experience with the material, but then being able to reuse it for multiple uses.
Yeah.
And just doing that
Well,
forever.
I have this library of vectors on my computer that is basically just all of these hand-cut things vectorized, and I repeat them because I guess like for brand consistency and just for like, you know, continuation of my design style across everything that I do. It's really important to me that some motifs are repeated, kind of like quintessential Kitiya Palaskas studio motif. So there's a lot of flowers in there. There's like these sort of really specific starburst kind of shapes that appear in my logo and things like that. And so and you know, like there's hands and body shapes and things like that, pieces of clothing, fruit. And so it's really great to be able to just like go back and access that library and just like reuse things over and over again, or like tweak them a little bit. And I guess that's where having it be like digital really helps, because if I had to redo that like over and over again by hand, it would just take way too long.
Yeah, your client rates would be astronomical.
No one would be able to afford me, because I'd be like charging through the roof all my physical labor.
It's like, yes, this takes me 1 trillion hours to do, so please give me all your money.
But also I'll do things like, you know, let's just say, I might use certain motifs like this. I'm doing a surface pattern design at the moment for a client to go on it's like a clothing collaboration. You heard it here first.
Wow, incredible.
So, you know, I might use motifs like that, but then it'd be really great if I could then use those motifs when I'm creating like my marketing assets to promote the collaboration, and so having the vectors of those would be really handy for that.
And just giving a heads up that we have under 10 minutes
that's fine
left
with me.
to go. Now I'm wondering, do you think there's anything should be added, taken away? Is it time to glue stuff down?
I think you should glue some stuff down.
I think.
So that you can at least complete something by the end of this stream. The
So
thing is, you could just
something today.
You could just keep going and going. This is the thing.
That's right.
But, you know, like I could just make these all day long. It's actually really relaxing.
It is, absolutely. And I hope that for everyone watching, that you consider taking some time out of your day to do a little arts and crafts.
I'd love to know, like, if anyone out there incorporates handmade elements into their digital design.
Let us know.
And in what way, like,
chat open so I can.
And in what way, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's lots of different ways to do it. I think when I first started my business, handmade design was having like a real resurgence, and you were seeing things like hand-drawn typography in campaigns, and you know, textures like paper textures and things like that in the back of like graphic design pieces and stuff like that. And so I guess it was a really fruitful time for me to start a business, because I was sort of riding that wave of that trend, and I've kind of seen that trend come around over and over again over the last like few years. There was another handmade resurgence during COVID, I guess, when people were embracing a lot more your scissors and your thoughts.
Yes. This is something I could do all day.
Yeah, it's fun. I also spend a lot of time like just on Illustrator, just like tweaking these as vectors to get like the perfect,
absolutely,
like the perfect shape, or like, I don't know, deleting and adding like anchor points all day long. You can kind of get really in a zone with like reshaping a little hand cut thing.
Absolutely. Because yes, you can recut something again and again, and there's the classic thing of using digital art tools, and you'll just redraw the same line again and again until it's perfect. But you also got to realize, you know, like maybe I've drawn this circle enough times now that I've drawn it like 30 times.
Sometimes also, I mean, like I really like the sort of raw edges that come with like using scissors, especially if it's like a bigger pair of scissors. Sometimes you can get a lot of like sort of accidental cuts and things when you're creating a shape. And I do like some of that to an extent, but then it's really good to be able to just go and like delete those things after I vectorize these shapes and just clean them up just a little bit. But it's also really interesting to kind of like scan in or digitize like ripped paper textures and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's a texture that's really kind of hard to replicate. Yeah.
Digitally, for sure.
So it's interesting to try and combine. I also think what's really interesting, I don't know if you can see this, is like all of these negative spaces that are appearing here. I think that's really cool. Like, you could even take a photo of these and turn these into vectors and like create a sort of repeat pattern based on negative shapes as well.
Absolutely.
That could be interesting.
Endless.
Like maybe I'll create a little artwork here of the negative space of things that we've been cutting out today. We'll see what happens there.
Incredible.
You know?
2 artworks. Excuse me.
It's like an accidental artwork. I really like that.
Let's see. Now I'm just curious too, like what flavors we think. We use very.
You should put some of your negative artwork things into
Yeah, I'm
this.
looking now at the pieces, so we shall see.
Sometimes I actually like the negative space more than the actual thing.
Yeah.
And I think I do today.
Today is about negative space in a positive space. And I think that might be what we have to say thank you and farewell, unfortunately, because time has just gone so quickly.
We'll just stay here for the rest of the night.
Oh
and
yeah, like
continue.
we're not actually going anywhere. But the stream will have to end in, I think, 3 minutes exactly, but...
I hope you found that relaxing. I hope you
Yeah.
found that like kind of like soothing to watch while we did that, and maybe you'll go away and cut some shapes of your own tonight.
Absolutely.
While we're drinking
and think
at the
of
pub.
the non-shapes as well, the negative space. But thank you so much, Kit, for joining us. And
It was my pleasure.
thank you everyone from joining us at home as well. This was our Sketchtember extravaganza. We hope to be back doing it again for sure. But until we know what the next studio extravaganza for us is, we have Adobe Max
Exciting.
coming up. My goodness, in just a couple of days it feels like, but it's a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'll
be speaking.
You'll be speaking, of course.
As part of the digital program, so make sure you
Incredible.
look me up, add me to your schedule.
Yes, tune in for that and tune in for more paper crafts at home, I think. So thank you very much.
Have a great
Thank you.
weekend.
Have a great day. Bye.